High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard reveals the scientifically backed habits that separate high performers from everyone else, providing a proven framework to achieve sustained success, greater fulfillment, and extraordinary results in any area of life without burning out. Brendon Burchard opens by addressing one of the most critical questions in personal development. What distinguishes those who achieve sustained excellence from those who experience only temporary success or chronic mediocrity? The author presents findings from the world's largest study on high performance, involving over 20,000 participants across different industries, cultures, and achievement levels. Burchard establishes that high performance is not about natural talent, luck, or working longer hours, but rather about developing specific habits that create sustained success while maintaining well-being and positive relationships. The book challenges common misconceptions about peak performance, including the belief that high achievers must sacrifice health, relationships, or happiness to reach their goals. Instead, the research reveals that the highest performers actually experience greater life satisfaction, stronger relationships, and better physical and mental health than their peers. Point 1. Seeking clarity becomes the foundational habit that separates high performers from everyone else, as these individuals consistently clarify who they want to be, how they want to interact with others, and what skills they need to develop. Burchard explains that high performers do not rely on natural motivation or wait for inspiration to strike, but instead actively and regularly seek clarity in 4 critical areas of their lives. They consistently clarify their identity by asking themselves who they want to be in each situation and what character traits they want to embody, moving beyond reactive behavior to intentional character development. High performers also seek clarity about how they want to interact with others, setting specific intentions for their relationships and communication patterns rather than operating on autopilot in social situations. They regularly clarify what skills and knowledge they need to develop to reach their goals, taking ownership of their growth rather than hoping that improvement will happen naturally. Finally, high performers seek clarity about what really matters to them, regularly examining their values and priorities to ensure their actions align with their deepest convictions. This habit of seeking clarity prevents the confusion and inconsistency that derail most people's progress and creates the focused direction necessary for sustained excellence. Point 2. Generating energy represents the second fundamental habit. As high performers understand that success requires not just physical energy, but also mental, emotional, and spiritual vitality that must be actively cultivated and protected. Burchard reveals that high performers are not naturally more energetic than others, but they have developed specific practices for managing their energy levels and recovering from demanding periods. Physical energy management involves more than basic fitness, encompassing strategic approaches to nutrition, exercise, sleep, and recovery that optimize performance rather than just maintaining health. High performers typically engage in regular cardiovascular exercise, strength training, and flexibility work, but they approach fitness as a performance enhancement tool rather than a separate life category. They also pay careful attention to nutrition, timing, and quality, understanding how different foods affect their energy levels, mental clarity, and emotional stability throughout the day. Mental energy management becomes equally important, as high performers protect their cognitive resources through practices like meditation, strategic breaks, focused work sessions, and elimination of energy-draining activities or relationships. Emotional energy cultivation involves developing emotional intelligence, managing stress effectively, and engaging in activities that generate positive emotions and enthusiasm for their work and relationships. Spiritual energy, which Burchard defines as connection to purpose and meaning, requires regular practices that reconnect high performers with their deeper motivations and values, preventing the cynicism and burnout that often accompany intense achievement efforts. Point 3. Raising necessity involves creating internal and external pressures that make high performance feel essential rather than optional. transforming goals from wishful thinking into urgent priorities. Burchard discovered that high performers do not rely solely on internal motivation, but strategically create conditions that make excellence necessary for their identity, relationships, and mission fulfillment. Internal necessity comes from connecting performance to identity, where high performers see excellence as essential to who they are rather than something they do occasionally. They regularly remind themselves why their goals matter, not just to them, but to the people they care about and serve, creating emotional stakes that make mediocrity feel unacceptable. External necessity involves creating accountability systems, public commitments, and consequences that make high performance the only reasonable choice. High performers often make their goals public, create partnerships with others who depend on their success, or put themselves in situations where failure to perform would have significant negative consequences for others. They also raise necessity by connecting their current efforts to future opportunities they do not want to miss, understanding that today's performance creates tomorrow's possibilities. This habit prevents the complacency and inconsistency that derail most people's progress, ensuring that high performance becomes a consistent pattern rather than an occasional occurrence. Point 4. Increasing productivity goes far beyond time. Management tricks and involves developing systems and approaches that generate exceptional results, while maintaining quality and sustainability. Burchard reveals that high performers do not work significantly more hours than their peers, but they work with greater focus, intention, and strategic thinking that multiplies their impact. The foundation of high-performance productivity involves identifying and focusing on activities that produce disproportionate results, similar to the 80-20th principle, but applied with greater sophistication and consistency. High performers regularly ask themselves what activities, if done with excellence, would have the greatest positive impact on their goals and the people they serve. They also develop the discipline to say no to opportunities and requests that do not align with their priorities, even when those opportunities seem attractive or important. Progressive mastery becomes another key element, where high performers focus on continuously improving their skills and knowledge in areas that matter most for their goals, rather than trying to be good at everything. They also batch similar activities together to maintain focus and reduce the mental energy lost in constant task switching. High performers understand the importance of recovery and renewal, building rest and reflection time into their schedules to maintain high-quality output over extended periods. Finally, they develop systems for managing information, communications, and decision-making that reduce cognitive load and free mental energy for creative and strategic thinking. Point 5. Developing influence emerges as a critical habit, because high performance rarely occurs in isolation, and the ability to positively impact others becomes essential for creating meaningful success and lasting impact. Burchard explains that high performers understand that their success depends not just on their individual efforts, but on their ability to inspire, guide, and serve others effectively. Teaching and sharing knowledge becomes a primary method for developing influence, as high performers regularly look for opportunities to help others learn and grow, which simultaneously reinforces their own expertise and builds valuable relationships. They also focus on challenging others to grow and improve, providing honest feedback and high expectations that help people reach their potential rather than simply making them feel comfortable. Modeling excellence becomes another powerful form of influence, where high performers understand that their behavior and standards set examples that others follow, making personal excellence a form of service to others. Role modeling involves not just professional behaviors, but also character traits like integrity, persistence, resilience, and continuous learning that inspire others to raise their own standards. High performers also develop the ability to make others feel valued and appreciated, understanding that recognition and acknowledgement are powerful motivators that build loyalty and commitment. They regularly express gratitude, celebrate others' achievements, and create environments where people feel seen and valued for their contributions. Finally, developing influence requires building trust through consistency, reliability, and genuine care for others' well-being and success. Creating relationships that enable collective achievement beyond what any individual could accomplish alone. Point 6. Demonstrating courage represents the final and perhaps most crucial habit, as high performance inevitably requires facing fears, taking risks, and persisting through challenges that cause most people to settle for mediocrity. Burchard reveals that high performers are not fearless, but they have developed the ability to act despite fear and uncertainty, using courage as a skill rather than waiting for it to appear naturally. Speaking up for themselves and others becomes a fundamental expression of courage, where high performers advocate for their ideas, values, and the people they care about, even when doing so creates conflict or discomfort. They also demonstrate courage by taking on challenging projects and opportunities that stretch their capabilities and require them to grow, understanding that growth only happens outside the comfort zone. High performers show courage in their willingness to be vulnerable and authentic, sharing their struggles, failures, and uncertainties in ways that build deeper connections and inspire others to be more honest and open. This vulnerability requires overcoming the fear of judgment and rejection that keeps most people hiding behind personas and facades. Another expression of courage involves persisting through difficulties and setbacks without giving up on important goals, developing resilience that allows them to maintain forward momentum even when progress is slow or obstacles seem insurmountable. High performers also demonstrate moral courage by standing up for their principles and values, even when doing so is costly or unpopular. Understanding that integrity is essential for sustained success and personal satisfaction. Finally, they show courage by continuously challenging themselves to grow and improve, seeking feedback, admitting mistakes, and making changes even when their current approach is working reasonably well. Point 7. The integration and implementation of these 6 habits requires understanding that high performance is not about perfection, but about consistent practice and gradual improvement over time. Burchard emphasizes that developing high-performance habits is a journey that requires patience, self-compassion, and commitment to long-term growth rather than quick fixes or dramatic transformations. The author provides specific strategies for implementing each habit, including daily practices, weekly reviews, and monthly assessments that help track progress and identify areas for improvement. He also addresses the common obstacles and challenges that arise when trying to develop new habits, including resistance from others, internal doubt, and the tendency to revert to old patterns during stressful periods. The book concludes with guidance for creating a personal high-performance plan that integrates all 6 habits into a coherent lifestyle approach that supports sustained excellence while maintaining well-being and positive relationships. Burchard reminds readers that high performance is ultimately about serving others and making a positive impact in the world, not just achieving personal success or recognition. High-performance habits provides a scientifically grounded roadmap for achieving sustained excellence that goes far beyond temporary success or fleeting achievements. Brendon Burchard has created a comprehensive system based on extensive research and real-world application that addresses not just what high performers do differently, but how anyone can develop these same patterns and practices. The 6 habits presented in this book offer a balanced approach to peak performance that enhances rather than sacrifices well-being, relationships, and personal fulfillment. This book serves as both an inspiration and a practical guide for anyone ready to move beyond mediocrity and create lasting success in alignment with their deepest values and highest aspirations. Thank you for exploring this comprehensive summary of high-performance habits and its research-based approach to sustained excellence and fulfillment. If this analysis has provided valuable insights for your personal development journey, please subscribe to our channel for more detailed book summaries that can accelerate your growth and success. Share this summary with others who are committed to high performance, and let us know in the comments which book you would like us to examine next. Your engagement helps us create content that supports your journey toward becoming the person you are capable of being while making a positive impact in the world.